So I'm in Adobe Audition. I have a voiceover recorded, and I would like to add background music to it. Can you teach me how to do that?
Sure, I can help with that. In Adobe Audition, you can add background music to your voiceover recording using the multi-track editor. The multi-track editor is accessed through a tab at the top of the Adobe Audition window. Great, now that you have the multi-track editor open, can you see the tracks where you can drag audio files?
Let me name this file first. One moment.
Okay, take your time to name the file. Once that is done, we can proceed to dragging the voiceover to the multi-track editor.
Okay, I have multi-track open, but I also noticed that there is track 1, track 2, track 3, etc. Can you tell me where I should be dragging the voiceover track?
Yes, you are seeing the tracks correctly. You can drag the voiceover file to any of these tracks. For the sake of organization, I recommend putting the voiceover on track 1. Do you want to try dragging it there now?
Hey guys, it's DJ. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how you can use Gemini, Google Gemini, to teach you how to use your DAW. So if you're trying to learn how to do voiceover and you have some software that you don't know how to use, this is going to teach you how to use it. And whether it's Adobe Audition, Audacity, Reaper, Pro Tools, whatever you're going to use, you can use Gemini to walk you through it. There are video tutorials about how to use all of these softwares and stuff, but one of the biggest problems when it comes to using it after watching a tutorial is something's always going to come up where you're just like, hold on, I don't know how to do that. And then you have to go back to YouTube and search for that particular thing. And it's like, well, now I'm going back and forth YouTube and my software, YouTube and software, pause, unpause, go back in the video. It's a hot mess. And so Google Gemini is really awesome because it's all voice prompts. And the AI is actually quite intelligent. And again, it pulled all of the information and training from actual YouTube tutorials and other material online. It is something that I use almost daily, along with ChatGPT, DeepSeek. I use AI tools to help me speed up my processes and to optimize what I do. But there are a couple things I want to point out to you just so we're clear on what's going on here. This is an AI tool. And it is like every other AI tool out there in that it's going to be gathering information about you. So that means you don't want to have any personal information on the screen while you do this, okay? You don't want to have your ID numbers, your social security numbers, your addresses, your chat messages. Make sure that you don't have any of that visible. Now, when you go into Gemini, it'll ask you which part of your screen you want to use. It's very similar to like a Zoom call. If you were to share your screen in a Zoom call, you can choose which application is actually shared with the viewers. And so in the same way, Google Gemini will ask you which application or section of your screen you want to use. So make sure you use that correctly. Also, there are always concerns about how your information and your voice, your liking or likeness or whatever is being used. And Google Gemini currently does not have a paid version. If you're using like Google Gemini, or rather, let me be clear, Google Gemini in the way that I'm going to use it, they don't have a paid version. And so it's free, which means they can gather the information about you. They can use it to train their machine models. Now, people will scoff at this and be like, oh my God, like that's terrible. But the reality, especially as somebody who's been creating YouTube content for years, our YouTube videos are used in the same purpose. Every YouTube video on YouTube is training the Google AI models. Your voice isn't going to be cloned and they're not going to like steal your voice and make an AI model of it. I think that's one of the concerns I personally have as a voice actor, but their terms of service do not allow them to do that. Another thing to be aware of, right now you can only use Google Gemini in 10-minute streams. It's limited to 10 minutes, which means that every 10 minutes you'll have to restart the stream. It doesn't take a long time. You just click the button and it restarts. When it restarts, it's almost like a new conversation for Gemini because it doesn't keep the history right now, which means you have to let it know exactly what you're doing again. I'm going to cut those parts out of the video because it just takes time. But every 10 minutes, it'll stop. I have to go back in and restart it and say, hey, Gemini, I'm in Adobe Audition. When we left off, you were helping me do this. Let's continue. And then it'll say, okay, I see you have Audition opened and you're doing this. Let's continue. So don't be surprised when it just stops listening to you after 10 minutes. You just need to restart it. I will link the terms of service and stuff in the description below in case you want to dig deeper and stuff. But understand that right now, because it is unpaid, your streams or anything you ask can be used for training their AI models and stuff. I personally don't have a problem with it. ChatGPT has basically used everything that I've ever put on the internet to train its model, and it hasn't really negatively impacted my life. Hi, Gemini.
Hi there, how can I help you today?
I am using Adobe Audition for the first time, and I would like to learn how to record a voiceover. Can you help me record a single audio file?
Sure, I can help you with that. First, make sure your microphone is properly connected and selected as the input device in Adobe Audition. Do you know how to do that?
No, can you show me where to go with that?
Please click on Adobe Audition in the top left of the screen. Then click on Preferences and then Audio Hardware. Do you see the correct menu now?
I do.
Great, now you can select your microphone input there. After you've done that, let me know and we'll move on to the recording stage.
I see an option for I/O buffer size. Right now it's set at 128. Should I change that, or is that setting okay for VoiceOver?
It's usually okay to leave the I/O buffer size at 128 for voiceover recording. However, if you experience any audio glitches, try increasing it. Are you having any issues currently?
Not that I know of.
Okay, then you should be ready to record. To start recording, look for the red record button at the bottom center of the screen. Do you see it?
I do.
Great, clicking that red button will start your recording. When you're done, click the space bar to stop. Do you want to try recording something now?
I would like to. I clicked the red button, but it's asking me to create a new audio file. Should I just go ahead and create a new audio file?
Yes, go ahead and create a new audio file. It's just part of the process to start recording your voiceover. Do you have a name in mind for the file?
I'll just call it Gemini test and click OK.
Okay, your new audio file named Gemini test has been created. Now, click the red record button to start recording your voiceover and the space bar to stop it. Good luck!
Okay, actually, no. Is there a hotkey that I can press to start the recording?
Yes, you can also use the R key as a hotkey to start recording, and the spacebar will stop it. Did you have success with your first recording?
No, I pushed R. It doesn't seem to be the default hotkey to start recording. What's the Adobe Audition default in order to start recording?
I apologize, I seem to have given you incorrect information again. The default hotkey to start recording in Adobe Audition is actually the Shift key plus the spacebar. Please try this combination.
Yes, that works.
Great. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding recording in Adobe Audition?
No, it looks like it's recording just fine, and you told me I need to hit spacebar to stop recording, right?
That is correct. Hit the spacebar to stop recording. It looks like you've got it. Is there anything else I can help you with today?
That's all for now. So I'm in Adobe Audition. I have a voiceover recorded, and I would like to add background music to it. Can you teach me how to do that?
Sure, I can help with that. In Adobe Audition, you can add background music to your voiceover recording using the multitrack editor. Would you like to know more about how to use the multitrack editor for this task?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with the basics of the multitrack editor. First, you need to drag your voiceover file from the Files panel to one of the tracks in the multitrack editor. Do you see where you could do that on your screen?
Where is multitrack? I don't know where to find that.
No problem. The multitrack editor is accessed through a tab at the top of the Adobe Audition window. It's right next to the wave.
I see it.
Great. Now that you have the multitrack editor open, can you see the tracks where you can drag audio files?
Let me name this file first. One moment.
Okay, take your time to name the file. Once that is done, we can proceed to dragging the voiceover to the multitrack editor.
Okay, I have multitrack open, but I also noticed that there is track 1, track 2, track 3, etc. Can you tell me where I should be dragging the voiceover track?
Yes, you are seeing the tracks correctly. You can drag the voiceover file to any of these tracks. For the sake of organization, I recommend putting the voiceover on track 1. This will help keep things in order. Do you want to try dragging it there now?
I just dragged it there, and now I need to know the next step for adding music.
Great job, the voiceover is now on track 1. To add background music, you will need to drag that audio file to a different track. Would you like me to show you how to do that?
Well, should I import the background music first?
Yes, importing the background music first is a good idea. This way, you can easily drag it to its respective track. Do you know how to import the background music file?
I can probably just drag that audio file into the files section, the tab, right?
Yes, that is correct. Then you can drag it to a track in the multi-track editor. Would you like help with that process?
It's just like the voiceover track, just put it on a different track, right? Track 2 maybe?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Gemini, so I've gone ahead and dragged in the new background music file to track 2 in Adobe Audition. And I'm going to drag to shorten that and play it through and see how that sounds.
Okay, so the user dragged a background music file to track 2 in Adobe Audition and shortened it. The user is now going to play the music to see how it sounds.
There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized. Okay, so right now the background music is much louder than the voiceover. Can you recommend some things I can do to fix that?
Sure, I can help with that. The first thing you should try is lowering the volume of the background music track and see if that helps balance it with the volume of your voiceover. Do you know how to do that with your audio editing software?
Can you tell me?
No problem, I can explain how to do that. Most audio editing software has a volume control, usually a slider, for each track. You'll want to select the background music track, then drag the volume slider down until the music is at a level that doesn't overpower your voice. Let me know if you need more help after you've tried it.
There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized with flu. Okay, so it sounds like the volume helped a bit. However, it still feels like sometimes the background music is overpowering the vocals. Is there any way to add some audio ducking or something like that on the background music?
Yes, audio ducking can help with that. It automatically lowers the volume of the background music when your voiceover is playing, and then brings it back up when you're not speaking. Do you know how to use that function in your editing software?
Well, like I said, I'm in Adobe Audition and I'm not sure how to do that. Can you tell me how to do that?
Sure, I can explain how to do that in Adobe Audition. First, you'll want to select the track with your background music. Then, go to the Effects menu, choose Amplitude and Compression, and then choose Dynamics Processing. In the Dynamics Processing window, you should see an option for sidechain. Set that sidechain input to your voiceover track. Then you'll need to adjust the other settings, such as the ratio, threshold, and release, to dial in the effect. I can explain those settings if you'd like.
Well, I have Rack Effect Dynamics Processing opened. However, this doesn't have anything about sidechain. Is there an easier way to do this? Maybe something in the Essential Sound tab or something?
You are correct. There is an easier way to do it in the Essential Sound panel. In the Essential Sound panel, select the background music track and assign it to Music under the Assign As drop-down menu. Next, click on the track with your voiceover and assign it to Dialogue under the Assign As drop-down. Now, select the music track again, go to the Loudness section, and check the Duck Against box. When you select the Dialogue option there, Audition will automatically...
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Repeat that one more time. How do I assign what each track is?
No problem. First, select the track with your background music, then in the Essential Sound panel, assign it to Music using the Assign As dropdown. Then, select the track with your...
though. I see a dropdown after I see Music. I see a dropdown. It says Default, Balanced Background Music, Duck Against Everything, etc., etc. Which one of these should I be choosing?
Good catch. I apologize for the oversight. You should select background music from that dropdown for the music track. Then for the voiceover track, select Dialogue in the Assign As dropdown. After doing this, the ducking effect will be applied automatically by Audition.
Let me try that. 1 second, please.
Sounds good. I'll wait.
There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized with flu, COVID, or RSV. That's about 1 in 60 people who plan to go fishing. A whole lot of people who wanted to visit family, take a road trip, or rock out at a concert. So if someone you love is 65 or older. Okay, that actually helped quite a bit. The problem I see now is the background music has a section in the middle and a section at the beginning and a section at the end that I would love to include in this short snippet. Would remix be a way that I could shorten this to about 30 seconds but still capture those sections that I like?
Yes, using Remix could help with that. Adobe Audition's Remix tool allows you to automatically shorten or lengthen music while maintaining its overall structure. It can be very useful for situations like this where you want to rearrange parts of a song. Do you know how to use Remix in Adobe Audition?
Walk me through that, please.
Okay, I can do that. First, select the music track you want to remix. Then, go to the Window menu and select Remix. This will open the Remix panel. In the Remix panel, set the target.
I don't see that. Can you show me a different way to get the Remix option?
Sure, my apologies. There is another way to access it. Select the music track and then go to the Effects menu, then choose Time and Pitch, and finally select Remix.
Don't see that option there either. Maybe.
Okay, it seems that.
What about the Essential Sounds tab?
You are right. That is where it is. In the Essential Sound panel, make sure you have the music track selected, and then under the Duration section, you should see an option for Remix. Just enter your desired time and it will remix the track.
Okay, so I've added the background music, I've remixed it, and I got it to sound how I want it to sound. However, the music is ending quite abruptly at the end. If you can hear this right here, it ends very, very abruptly. Is there a way to maybe, I don't know, fade it out a bit more smoothly?
Yes, there are a couple of ways to do that. One way is to use the fade out effect in Adobe Audition. Would you like me to walk you through the steps?
Yes.
Okay, let's start with the fade out effect. First, select the music clip on track 2. Then, go to the Effects Rack panel, click on the Clip Effects tab, then choose Amplitude and Compression, and finally select Fade Out. A default fade out will be applied to the selected audio. You can customize the length and shape of the fade in that.
Do you have an easier option, maybe something that's actually on the track itself?
Yes, there's a simpler way using the fade handles on the clip itself. You should see small square handles on the top corners of the audio clip. Click on the handle in the top right corner of the clip and drag it left to create a fade out. Does that make sense?
It does. I noticed that it changes if I slide my cursor up and down. What does that change?
Moving the cursor up and down on the fade handle changes the fade curve, which impacts how quickly or slowly the sound fades. A steeper curve will fade the sound out more rapidly, while a shallower curve will fade it out more gradually.
Flu, COVID, or RSV, make them just another number. RSV, make them just another number. There are about... Okay, I really like that. Can you suggest any ways to add more air to this mix? Right now, it sounds like the voiceover and the music, while the levels are matching, it doesn't seem like the voiceover is separate from the background music.
Okay, it sounds like you want to give the mix a bit more space between the voiceover and the background music, even though the levels are matching. One way you could do this is by using a compressor on the music to duck or lower the background music when the voiceover is present. Would you like me to explain how to do this in Audition?
Can you give me a different option? We already have an audio ducking going through the Essential Sound panel.
Okay, I understand that you're already using the Essential Sound panel for audio ducking. Another way to give more space between the voiceover and music is to add a little bit of reverb to the voiceover track. Would you like me to walk you through that?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's add some reverb to the voiceover track. First, select the voiceover clip on track 1. Then, go to the Effects Rack panel. Click on the Clip Effects tab. From there, choose Amplitude and Compression and select Reverb. Then, you can adjust the reverb amount and parameters to your liking. Let me know if you need more guidance on any of these steps.
Instead of Amplitude and Compression, I think you mean Reverb drop-down menu, right?
You are absolutely correct. I misspoke. After selecting the clip, you should go to Reverb from the drop-down menu in the Clip Effects tab, not Amplitude and Compression, then select the type of reverb. My apologies for that mistake.
Which one of these options do you choose? Studio reverb, convolution reverb? Which one should I use?
If you are just trying to add a sense of space, Studio Reverb is a good option and will likely be the easiest to adjust to your liking. However, convolution reverb can give you more realistic results by emulating real-world spaces. It really depends on the kind of effect you are going for.
Yeah, I'll use Studio Reverb. I really want this to be very subtle. I have the Studio Reverb menu open with all the sliders. Can you walk me through how to adjust these to achieve the desired sound?
Yes, let's walk through the Studio Reverb parameters. The dry signal slider controls the volume of the original unprocessed audio. Wet signal slider controls the volume of the reverb effect. Room size determines the size of the virtual space. Width adjusts the stereo separation. Damping controls the amount of high-frequency absorption in the virtual space. And lastly, pre-delay adds a short delay before the reverb begins. Adjusting the wet and dry signal can give you more subtle or more obvious reverb. Try experimenting with the pre-delay to see if that affects the separation you are going for.
60 million adults, 65. Yeah, it sounds like I'm in a really, really big room. I'd like to be very subtle. Which one of these sliders would I change to reduce that room size?
To make the reverb less noticeable and more subtle, you'll want to primarily reduce the wet signal slider, which controls the volume of the reverb effect. Additionally, you can also reduce the room size slider, making the virtual space feel smaller, which will also help create a more subtle reverb.
5 and older, living in this country. Yeah, I want to hear how it affects the voiceover. Is there any way to mute the background music while I listen to the track 1?
It appears that the background music is making it difficult to hear the voiceover. You can mute the background music by clicking the M button in the Track 2 panel. That should allow you to hear Track 1 better. Is there anything else?
No. There are about
Great, let me know if you need help with anything else.
65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized with flu, COVID, or RSV. That's about 1 in 60 people who plan to go fishing. What does early reflections change in the Studio Reverb?
Early reflections affect how we perceive the size and shape of the room in the Studio Reverb. By changing the early reflections, you can make the space sound bigger or smaller. Is there anything else I can help you with?
So the lower the percentage of early reflections, the smaller the room feels or sounds to us?
Correct. The lower the percentage of early reflections, the smaller the room will sound. Is there anything else you want to know about this?
A whole lot of people who wanted to visit family, take a road trip. There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized with flu, COVID, or RSV. That's about 1 in 60 people who plan to go fishing. A whole lot of people who wanted to visit family, take a road trip, or rock out at a concert. Is there any way to remove some of the high end of the music? I find that it's clashing with the voiceover.
Yes, there is a way to remove some of the high end of the music. You can use an equalizer effect on track 2 to lower the high frequencies, which should prevent it from clashing with the voiceover on track 1. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I noticed that this is a stereo multi-track, but my voiceover appears to be in mono. Is that going to negatively impact how I perceive the sound of this mix?
You're correct to notice that the voiceover is in mono while the mix is in stereo. This might impact the perceived width of the voiceover within the mix, making it seem less immersive, but it is not necessarily negative. Is there anything else you want to know about how mono and stereo signals can impact a mix?
Do you recommend I change the voiceover to mono or to stereo, even though I recorded in mono?
Whether to keep your voiceover in mono or convert it to stereo depends on the effect you want to achieve. A stereo voiceover will sound wider and can be useful if you want to create more space in your mix. If you are happy with a more focused sound, keeping it in mono can also be a good choice. Ultimately, this decision depends on your preference. Would you like more advice about mono versus stereo sound?
No, but please show me how to add the equalizer so on track 2 to take some of the high end out of the background music.
Okay, to add an equalizer to track 2, you will need to click on the Effects rack drop-down in the bottom left corner of your screen. Then select Track Effects, and from there you can select an EQ to use. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yeah, I'm not seeing that. Oh wait, no, I do see it. One moment, please. Which of these equalizers do I choose? There's a lot of them here. Which one do I choose?
The parametric equalizer is a good option to start with because it is a flexible tool. You can then choose to use a notch filter if needed after that. Is there anything else I can assist you with?
Well, I have parametric equalizer open. How do I take out some of the high end of the background music?
You can use the parametric equalizer to reduce the high end of the background music by adjusting the high frequency bands of the EQ. You can lower the gain for the high frequency bands to take out some of the high end. Do you want more specific instructions about how to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, to reduce the high end, look for the bands in the parametric equalizer that control high frequencies. This may be labeled as high shelf, high frequency, or something similar. Then lower the gain for that band by either moving the slider downwards or by entering a lower numerical value for the gain. If you want to be even more specific, you can also adjust the frequency and width of this high band. Would you like to know more about those two controls?
How much do you recommend that I lower it to achieve just hearing the voiceover more clearly and not clashing with the background music?
A good starting point for reducing the high end while still allowing the voiceover to be heard is to lower the high frequency band by about 3 to 6 decibels, but you can adjust more to your liking. Experiment and see what you think sounds best. Is there anything else I can help with?
The high shelf is currently at 18,000 hertz. Is that a good setting after lowering it by negative 4.9 dB, or should I change that as well?
A high shelf of 18,000 hertz is a fine setting, as that frequency is outside the typical range of human hearing. By lowering the gain of that band by minus 4.9 decibels, you should have a less harsh high end, which should help the voiceover. Is there anything else I can help with?
There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living. Okay, that really helped a lot by adding the parametric equalizer. Right now, the voiceover in track 1 is still, I've noticed that it has a lot of sibilance, and I would like to remove some of that sibilance. Any recommendations on settings maybe in the effects rack that I can add to do that?
You would like recommendations for reducing sibilance in the voiceover on track 1. One common way to reduce sibilance is to use a de-esser plugin, which can be found in the effects rack. Would you like more information on how to use a de-esser?
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about using a de-esser. You'll want to add the de-esser plugin to the effects rack for track 1, where the voiceover is. Once added, the de-esser will have parameters that you can adjust to control how much sibilance is. Okay, you are going to add the de-esser effect. I see that you've opened the menu for adding an effect to track 1. You'll find the de-esser under the amplitude and compression category. Once you add it, you can start adjusting its settings to reduce the sibilance.
There are about 60 million adults. There are about 60 million adults, 65 and older, living in this country. And last year, nearly 1 million of them were hospitalized with flu, COVID, or RSV. That's about 1 in 60 people who plan to go fishing. A whole lot of people who wanted to visit family, take a road trip, or rock out at a concert. So if someone you love is 65 or older, talk to them about vaccines. And don't let flu, COVID, or RSV make them just another number. Okay, I think I'm satisfied with how this mix sounds. Can you walk me through the steps to export this?
To export your mix in Adobe Audition, you'll go to the File menu, then choose Export, and then click Multitrack Mixdown, followed by Entire Session. This will open a dialog box where you can specify the file name, location, and file type. Would you like to know more about these settings?
No, thank you. That's all I needed.